Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Church of Evanston. My name is Gretchen Brewster. Whether this is your spiritual home or you are newly discovering this community, we're grateful to share this time together. We strive to be an inclusive and welcoming community seeking truth in love and nurturing the human spirit for a world made whole. We are guided by our principles and values, which remind us in every moment and through every challenge that each of us is worthy of love and that we are all connected through the vast and beautiful web of existence. We come together to remember our kinship with one another and to hold one another in heart and mind with tenderness and careful attention, and to dedicate ourselves more fully to living our shared values. Welcome to those joining us online. We hope you have your chalices ready. People of all ages are welcome and an important part of our faith community. We are blessed to have the children in the sanctuary for the first half of the service, and the entire service is for all ages about once a month. The nest is in front, is our designated area for families with young children, where we have quiet fidget toys and activities and a kid-friendly order of service. We encourage our parents and caregivers in the nest to help support our youngest members of the community to participate in the service in a respectful and engaged way. Nursery care is available every Sunday in room 11 in the lower level, which you can access via the stairs at the back of the sanctuary. As part of being a welcoming and inclusive community, we have some information posted on the screen that will help you to enjoy and appreciate UCA and our service.
Hi, good morning. I'm Reverend Eileen. I'm the senior minister. I use she, her pronouns. It's good to be with you this morning. Nice to see all the costumes. Loving that. I have a few announcements. After the service today, we will be having our rescheduled evacuation drill. Woo! I know we're excited about that. So stick around for instructions. We're also excited to announce that the Serendipity Auction Catalog is now open for viewing. So you can take a look at it online from our website. So many of you have already been incredibly generous, sharing your time, talents, creativity through the many donations that we already have. As of today, well, this was a couple days ago, so it's probably more than this, but as a couple days ago, it was about 133 amazing items already donated, and their goal is to reach nearly 300 items by this coming Wednesday when bidding officially opens. So you still have time to turn in your auction donations. It can be anything from a special skill or hobby, like leading a tour, teaching a class, hosting a dinner, or maybe it's a cozy hand-knit scarf, a piece of art, your famous dessert that always disappears first at potlucks. The options are limitless. And while you're thinking, go ahead and take a spin through the catalog and start making your wish list so you're ready when the bidding fun begins this Wednesday at 8 a.m. The other thing I wanted to alert you to is that by now you've probably heard that we are not having an auction evening event this year. I know that's probably pretty disappointing for some of you, but there will be a viewing party next Sunday after the service where you get to see all the items that are like physical, tangible items and figure out how to bid if you haven't been able to do that in the past. And do not worry, we are going to have an all-congregation, super fun, super participatory event, all ages, in February 14th. Mark your calendars. What better place is there to celebrate love than right here at UCE with all of you? So keep an eye out for more of those details. A couple more announcements. If you are by any chance free tonight to attend the Vision Keeper dinner, and you didn't get a ticket, please talk to Alice Krastowski. She has an extra ticket if you would like to go and attend and support our Vision Keepers, Marilyn Robluski and Andy Schlickman. Yeah. You're invited to join the UCE Pagan Collective for the 3rd annual Chicago Samhain Spiral Dance, followed by a potluck here in our sanctuary next Sunday, November 2nd. The doors will open at 5:30 and close at 6 for this ritual. All ages, all paths, and all mobilities are welcome and included. And then finally, I'm just so grateful to be able to lead this service today with my companions, some of my companions on the Living Legacy pilgrimage to Alabama last month. And the Real team is hosting a panel discussion on Wednesday, November 12th from 7 to 8:30 to continue to share our stories. So if your interest is piqued from this service, please attend that. And now let us settle in together, gather our attention, and share this time of reflection, celebration, and inspiration. As we begin our worship service, let's quiet our electronics, settle our bodies, calm our voices and our energy as best as we're able as we join in beloved community. Welcome to worship.
That was amazing. It's so hard to beat that, isn't it? Woo. The Unitarian Church of Evanston resides on the traditional homelands of the Ojibwe, the Odawa, and the Potawatomi nations. Once used by nomadic tribes who shared the Algonquin culture and language, by 1760, Potawatomi villages populated this land. After decades of violent encroachment by the French, British, and US American white settlers, the Potawatomi community were forcefully removed west of the Mississippi River. We also remember the networks of Black people, African American ancestors who built our country's culture and economy, originally through forced enslavement and uncompensated labor. We acknowledge the impacts of the intentional violence of enslavement, theft of labor, and exploitation, which echo through the generations and remain a reality today. We offer these acknowledgments as one small effort to build long-term solidarity with contemporary communities. We commit ourselves to incorporate these admissions into our lives and turn our thoughts into actions. Please join in our words of shared commitment. We name these realities with honor for our ancestors, respect for our units, and gratitude for the land we use as sacred space.
The Living Legacy pilgrims brought our flowers today in recognition of the connections made, learning gained, commitment deepened toward the ongoing struggle for justice. As they light our chalice, symbol of our living tradition, please join in saying the words on the screen by Neelam Saxena Chandra, Indian poet and author. What is often required is just a little courage to actually walk the road. Dead ends will always be there, but within you lights a lamp which shall make you push and shove all the endings, transforming them into new beginnings.
Please rise in body or spirit and join in saying the words of our covenant. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Before we sing our opening hymn, I invite those joining us online to greet each other in the chat, and those gathered in the sanctuary to one another briefly to say good morning, trying to greet someone who is new to you.
Stay after the service to continue your conversations after our evacuation drill. But if you're new to UCE, you can stop by the welcome table with the red tablecloth in the back. Allie Hunter is there to give you more information. Whoa, someone's excited. Let's keep creating kinship and relationship among us. Our opening hymn is 1015, I Know I Can.
Well, good morning. Good all to see you. I have a special wonder box filled with love, of course. Can't see it here. I wonder what could be in my wonder box. Would you like to come help me? I have a volunteer to help me open the box. Don't drop it. What's in there? So, candy corn? Yeah, that most awesome, delicious Halloween stuff, right? So why do you suppose there would be candy corn in the Wonder Box today? Anybody? Halloween, possibly, yes? What do you think, Rick? Oh, going trick-or-treating tonight? No. That's okay. Yeah, Halloween's coming up in a few days, right? So yes, we do sometimes eat candy corn for Halloween, but it's here for a different reason today. Can you show the jar? Maybe show people in the front row here? Yeah. So my question for you is, have you ever played a game where you had to guess the candy, the number of candies in a jar? Who here has played that game at a card? Whoa, look at all your hands. Okay, now, who here has guessed exactly the number of candies in the jar? No way. Stand up. I am so impressed. Thank you. If you want to set the jar down, you can, because it's kind of... If you want to share some candy, if it's okay with parents, you could. It's up to the parents, of course. So, did you know that many years ago, white people didn't allow black people to do many things, such as vote? Yeah, did you know that? Sadly, yes. So, one of the things that white people did was they made black people do impossible tests, like guess how many pieces of candy are in the jar, in order to let them vote and do things. Well, how many people, well, 2 out of how many apparently got the answer right, which I'm very impressed with again. So, but black people found ways in community to resist, such as protesting and marching, right? However, if they did, sometimes, and often, they would lose their jobs. Do you have something you wanted to add? It's okay, you can. So instead, their children would go and march and protest on their behalf for their future, too. And sometimes they even got arrested. Who here's ever been arrested? Oh, we have a couple. Good job. I'm sure it was for a very valid reason. All right. But when they did get arrested, they would take care of each other, kind of like we take care of each other here. They would sing together, like we just did, and give each other courage until they got released. So last month, people on the stage, myself and a few others, took a special trip, Legacy Living Tour, to Alabama. Yes. Where we met a woman named Dr. Linda Blackmore Lowry. And she was one of the kids who got arrested. Yes. She was arrested 9 times when she was only 14 years old. Yeah. So Dr. Linda was one of the people we met, and she talked to our group about her experience in the civil rights movement as a young teenager. She told us how Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and how his words had inspired her. And she remembered him saying, "You can get anyone to do anything with steady, loving confrontation." Ooh. That really hit me when I heard that. She recalled marching for voting rights with her friends, even though she wasn't of age to vote, and how they would often be put in jail. Yeah, for just a few hours a day, but sometimes a whole day. But once, when the jail was full, they took the kids to a state prison, a camp for 6 days. Can you imagine? And it was scary. That I can imagine. They didn't get a lot of food, or privacy, of course, or space, and when one of the kids got sick, Linda broke a window from inside their cell to cry out for help. And the jailer demanded to know who broke the window, and when Linda confessed, he asked her name, and she did tell him, "I, Linda Blackmore." And the other kids were trying to protect her, but the jailer put all of them in the group because they all went, "Well, I'm Linda Blackmore. I'm Linda Blackmore. I'm Linda Blackmore." So everybody was Linda, right? So they all got put in jail. Yes. Yeah. The jailer put them in a small windowless room called a sweat box. And while they were in that prison camp, Jimmy Lee Jackson an organizer in Selma, Alabama, was killed by white supremacists. And this horrible act of violence made the determination to march for voting rights across the Edmund Pettus Bridge even stronger. But when they tried to march, they were beaten badly by state troopers, including Linda. And after that, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and the civil rights organizers prayed and planned another march all the way from Selma to Montgomery, 54 miles. Has anyone here ever walked 54 miles? But Linda, at the ripe age of 14, was determined to go, and she wanted to walk up to Governor George Wallace and show him how she'd been beaten and hurt by the state troopers. But the National Guard said they could only have 300 people go, and that they could only help protect up to 300 people. But Linda begged her father, and he let her go. She was the youngest person to march all the way to Montgomery, and on the second day, she turned 15 years old. That first night, she had nightmares about being beaten and woke up really scared. She wasn't sure she could go on. But a white man named Jay Rutherford came over to her. He had lost a leg in a war and was walking all the way to Montgomery on crutches. Jim told her that before he let anyone else harm another hair on her head, he would lie down and die for her. Can you imagine? Linda said in her book, "My grandfather used to say that if you give in to something, if you give someone or something control over you, then you've given up on yourself. So I couldn't let George Wallace or my fear from having been beaten take control of me. If I did that, I would never become the person I wanted to be. And the person I wanted to be was a person who would stand up against what was wrong. I wanted not only to protect myself, but to protect others. Not only fight for myself, but be out there fighting for others." The marchers stopped at a campsite all along the way, and it took them 4 days to make it to Montgomery. And by the time they got there, the 300 marchers had turned into 25,000. 25,000 protesters ended up on the state capitol steps. Linda did not get to talk to Governor Wallace, but in August of that year, the Voting Rights Act was passed. And it was in no small part due to the kids who showed up with courage and conviction. And when she turned 21, guess what she did? She voted, yes. And she continues to share her story of the power of showing up with steady, loving conviction. The end.
I invite us to settle into this time of quiet reflection as we share the joys and sorrows of this congregation. If you've got a joy or a sorrow that you would like spoken aloud, you may write it in the book found at the back. You can send me an email, or you can fill out the form on the homepage of our website. We listen to these offerings with tenderness and with respect, so let's quiet our bodies and our minds and our voices as best as we're able by breathing in together. Can we take in a breath? These are the joys and sorrows that have been shared today. Eric writes that he's moving into home ownership for the first time. Tonight will be the first in the condo after much preparation. Congratulations, Eric. A joy from Rita Russo, who attended the opening day of the Acqui on Chicago exhibit yesterday at the Chicago History Museum with her sons and sisters-in-law, and found that entire room had been dedicated to her late husband and UCE member, the folk singer Trudi Davis. It made them all cry. That's beautiful, Rita. Bruce and Carol Emory have a joy that their daughter Elizabeth has her learner's permit. Watch out, world. That's a lot of joys. A joy from Mary Dudek, honoring the collective and uplifting UU Flower Communion outside the ICE facility in Broadview on Friday. I was there, and Reverend Susan was there, along with other Chicago area UU faith leaders. Really did speak to the truth to power in a peaceful and impactful way. Let's continue to celebrate the beloved community. It was a very meaningful day. A joy from Elizabeth Kennedy and Neil Reese are celebrating their 13th wedding anniversary. Deep gratitude for the way UCE clergy and laity are walking the walk from Kristen Lems. Thank you, Kristen. Deep happiness and gratitude from Elizabeth Harding for the 18th anniversary of her ordination on 10/28/20. Well, yeah, okay, 18 years ago. Nice. And then Jillian Lawrence shares, after 7 months of searching in a brutal job market, she's happy and relieved to share that she has accepted a job offer. She writes, I'm eternally grateful to so many UC folks who supported me in ways big and small during this difficult time. And I also know there are many others in our congregation who are job searching. Please know that I'm always happy to support others who are going through this and share what I've learned navigating this challenging job market. And finally, Gail Smith asks for your prayers and healing thoughts for Amisha Patel, longtime leader of the Grassroots Collaborative, whose battle with cancer took a difficult turn recently, and whose courage, example, and beautiful spirit have helped to build the caring resistance Chicago is engaging in now. She urges us, remember this, try. We normally take this time to call you up to light candles. The service is very full today, so I'm going to invite you to light a candle at either the front station or the side station whenever you feel moved throughout the rest of the service. But I'm eager and anxious to get our little ones to their costume party. I think they're excited about that as well. So we're going to sing them out, and then I will share a prayer. Our prayer is for those who came before by Reverend Michelle Collins. Holy stillness, we sit in the shade of trees we did not plant. Speak with voices shaped by languages we did not create. Breathe free air that others died to protect. Every freedom we exercise, every opportunity we pursue, every moment of safety we enjoy carries the fingerprints of those who came before. We remember ancestors of blood and choice, known and unknown, who endured hardships we can barely imagine, so we might inherit possibilities they could only dream. We carry forward the hopes of enslaved people who chose love over bitterness, immigrants who crossed oceans for children they would never meet, activists who planted seeds in ground too hard for them to see bloom. Their struggles live in our bodies, their dreams in our daily choices, their unfinished work in our hands. May we honor their sacrifices not through nostalgia, but through action, not through guilt, but through gratitude that moves our feet toward justice. Help us become ancestors future generations will thank, planting trees whose shade we'll never rest in, fighting battles whose victories we won't live to see, loving this world forward with the same fierce hope that brought us here.
Today's offering will be shared with Run On Climate Education Fund, whose mission is to accelerate cutting-edge climate policy at the local level in communities across the nation, including right here in Evanston, which is one of Run On Climate's focal cities for 2025. You may text to give, mail in a check, put cash in the collection bowls, or give from our website. If you write a check, please indicate in the memo line if your check is for the shared offering or for some other giving. The ushers will now come forward to pass the collection bowls down the rows. Please give as generously as you are able, and may what you give bring you joy.
Thank you for your generosity. Today's reading is Alabama Centennial by Naomi Long Madgett, African-American poet and publisher. They said, wait. Well, I waited. For 100 years, I waited in cotton fields, kitchens, balconies, in bread lines at back doors, on chain gangs, in stinking colored toilets, and crowded ghettos, outside of schools and voting booths. And some said later, and some said never. Then a new wind blew, and a new voice rode its wings in with quiet urgency, strong, determined, sure. No, it said, not later, not even soon. Now, walk. And other voices echoed the freedom words. Walk together, children, don't get weary. Whispered them, sang them, prayed them, shouted them. Walk. And I walked the streets of Montgomery until a link in the chain of patient acquiescence broke. And then again, sit down. And I sat down at the counters of Greensboro. Ride, and I rode the bus for freedom. Kneel, and I went down on my knees in prayer and faith. March, and I'll march until the last cane falls, singing, we shall overcome. Not all the dogs and hoses in Birmingham, nor all the clubs and guns in Selma can turn this tide. Not all the jails can hold these young black faces from their destiny of manhood, of equality, of dignity, of the American dream, 100 years past due. Now.
Thank you, choir. We had many, many experiences on this trip, too many, obviously, for us to go through, but we're going to share some of our reflections traveling to Alabama and visiting sites along the Civil Rights Trail last month. First, I'm going to read a reflection from Deane about Tent City in Lowndes County, and then from Trudi Davis about the Legacy Museum, and Jeanne about Rosa Parks. And then we'll hear from Jeanne, Gretchen, Kerl, and Bex. Dana was really struck by this part of our history that she and many of us hadn't heard about Lowndes County, which is on the road from Selma to Montgomery. Adam, I am really struggling with this clicker. It's not working, cooperating with me. I'm going to do my best, but if things get behind, help me out. Almost half of the 1965 march from Selma to Montgomery was through Lowndes County, and prior to the passage of the 1965 Voting Rights Act, 80% of residents in Lowndes County were black, but none, 0, were registered to vote. Within months of the march, Congress passed and President Lyndon Johnson signed a Federal Voting Rights Act, and by the end of 1965, 122 black people were registered to vote. However, many Lowndes County residents were sharecroppers, so entirely beholden to the white owners of property that they farmed on which they lived. And when black residents tried to register to vote and help others do so, many were fired from their farming work and evicted from their homes. In December 1965, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, or SNCC, and the Lowndes County Christian Movement for Human Rights bought 7 acres of land just off the highway from people sympathetic to the movement, and a tent city was erected to house 20 families who were evicted from their homes to provide shelter and food to the families, also to ensure that they were able to vote still in Lowndes County. SNCC organizers were determined to help these displaced families remain in their community. Led by Gloria Larry, SNCC purchased tents and supplies using $2,000 from its emergency fund, and volunteers set up 10 tents, 60 cots, and dozens of stove heaters. But still, living conditions in these tents were very harsh. Families shared a single outhouse, and some of the tents leaked or failed to retain heat. Multiple times a week, Tent City faced harassment from night raiders, hostile white vigilantes who would drive through firing shots into the camp. Food, clothing, and other aid poured in, including from former Lowndes County residents who had relocated to Detroit for jobs in the auto industry. And by March of 1966, Detroit had sent 20 tons of supplies transported by Union Teamsters. Residents were resourceful and resilient for more than 2 years in these tents, as organizers helped them find new jobs, permanent housing, and new lives. This was just an incredible story that, yeah, like I said, many of us hadn't heard. Trudi Davis shared one of the most memorable parts of the trip for her was walking into the Legacy Museum in Montgomery, which draws a very clear line between human enslavement to Jim Crow to lynching to mass incarceration. Trudi remembers entering the small room just beyond the museum's entrance with the sound of enormous storm waves crashing. And beyond that wall were sculptures, heads and busts depicting the agony of those who would jump to their death rather than be enslaved. The museum is designed to be very unsettling, forcing us to think of the people who were captured to be sold, imagining what they must have felt and thought during the Middle Passage. And Ginny Neiman shared that she was so impressed by the Rosa Parks Museum, dedicated to one person who simply said no and refused to give up her seat to a white man while riding a bus in Montgomery. This action eventually led to black residents of Montgomery boycotting the bus system for 13 months until they were eventually allowed just this one small game to sit anywhere on the bus. The city changed the rules not because it agreed with the black population, but because it couldn't afford the loss of income from black residents. Jeanne? page for you. There we go.
I want to share my experience with music on this trip. I'm a pretty intellectual person. I'm a trained historian who was impressed by the thought-provoking museums and memorials that we visited. A torrent of facts and images washed over us during these visits. I was surprised by, the most thing I was surprised by was the impact that the music had me. Not any particular fact or story, it was really the music. Going through these many sites and hearing about traumatic events in a very concentrated way, it overwhelms you. I know you feel that today about our news, right? Same thing. But we usually sang in the morning, and as we transitioned between places, we sang. And you didn't have to be an expert. You don't see me singing over here in the choir. But there was something incredibly calming about that experience because you were inundated by all this violence. And it did help me and many others process the experience we were going through. I knew that music had played a pivotal role in the civil rights movement, but now I fully understood what Arne, who was our music leader on this trip, shared with us. That music not only provided the civil rights community with a feeling of togetherness and belonging, it wasn't just about that. It calmed people as they were on their way on buses and cars or walking to protests where they needed a little bit of distraction and they needed to be emboldened as they prepared to face unimaginable violence. So I really felt that for the first time. Music was part of our rituals on this trip. We learned about a UU woman named Viola Liozzo, a mother of 5 from Detroit, who upon seeing scenes of the water cannons and dogs being used against Black people on her television, told her husband she just had to go to Montgomery and Selma to help. She came to drive people back and forth and made the trip dozens of times. While on one of those trips, she was killed by the Klan on the highway, and our busload of people stopped at the highway marker that honored her and circled it in honor of her, and we sang as we circled, and I'll never forget the feeling of togetherness and sacredness of that moment. And when we visited the Maya Lin Memorial, we circled a marble stone. Chiseled into that stone were the names of the civil rights activists who we learned about that week, and water ran over their names. We showed respect to them by touching their names as we circled and sang. It was a simple ritual which we hope spoke to their steady, loving confrontation. Thank you.
We shared many experiences on this trip together, in addition to acquiring COVID. One of the most memorable parts of our legacy pilgrimage for me was visiting the National Memorial of Peace and Justice, also known as the National Lynching Memorial. This memorial commemorates the known 4,400 Black victims of lynching in the United States. Its intention is to focus on past instances of racial terrorism and to advocate for social justice in America. The memorial consists of tombstone-like structures hanging from the ceiling, depicting the names of the states and counties, as well as the number of those who have been lynched in each of these places. In fact, Illinois is noted as one of the states with the largest number of victims. I felt a tremendous sense of sadness, disgust, and horror while walking among these hanging stones, and found myself thinking of the words of Billie Holiday's song entitled "Strange Fruit." It also saddened me to realize that lynchings haven't ceased. They've merely taken on a different form, with such examples as Michael Brown, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and many others. Given the present state of affairs in our country, it's difficult seeing how racial justice can be achieved. But with steady, loving confrontation, we can each determine how to make a difference, be it speaking up, sending donations to groups advocating for racial justice, attending demonstrations, and above all, never giving up. This part of the pilgrimage heightened my awareness and rekindled my need for personal involvement.
For 5 generations, my mother's family made their home in Birmingham, Alabama. My great-great-grandfather actually settled in the area before Birmingham existed. Gretchen described the lynching museum. When I arrived there, if you can see I'm the woman in red, I was going from pillar to pillar to try to find the counties where I had lived and where family lived. It took me a while to figure out how they had organized the pillars, but eventually I figured out the method to their madness. And I took pictures of those counties, such as this one. Tuscaloosa's in there somewhere. Tuscaloosa, which is where, it is up there, where my dad lived and where I went to the University of Alabama for my master's. And then on the other side, you see Jefferson County, and I was just dumbfounded by how many names there are on that pillar. At first, all I could wonder was, did my family take part? We learned that the white population would have picnics at these lynchings and bringing their kids like it was a party. Did my family participate? I never found evidence that they did, but I have no doubt that they would have approved. I started looking up the names of the victims on a newspaper website. I found pretty much what I expected. One man was allegedly killed by other black men. Another man who died of wounds that could not have been, the newspaper agreed, self-inflicted, actually died of a suicide. Being Southern, knowing that my ancestors bought and sold enslaved persons who were forced to work for them, ancestors who served in the Confederate Army and joined the United Daughters of the Confederacy, and who were generally awful to anyone of color, I've always felt like I had a stain on my soul. I know I didn't do these things, but I did benefit from them. And I was a product of the South and my environment. I've said things I still can't confess to decades later that horrify me now. Our theme today is steady, loving confrontation. How do I confront ancestors who are long dead? How did I confront my family when they were alive? I did not. But I have changed, and I've read, and I attended this amazing pilgrimage to my home state. I'm not my ancestors. I've made very different choices, but I still think that stain remains with me today. My husband, Bruce, who came with us, and I are raising our children very differently than I was raised. We want that sixth generation to be free of this stain, to see justice and dignity for all, to judge those they meet not by the color of their skin, but by the content of the character. And I hope we are successful.
On yet another beautiful day in Montgomery, Alabama, our group visited the parsonage of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. This is the home where a newlywed young Martin and Coretta began their Montgomery ministry, and where the Kings lived as Dr. King began to lead the Montgomery bus boycotts that were sustained over a massive 382 days, until the court ordered that the buses must be integrated and victory was won. The Dexter Avenue Church, Martin King's church, maintains the home, and docents from the church led our tour of the space, and they shared their living memories with Dr. King and the Kings in Montgomery. My brother, born in 1991, is named Martin in his honor. I grew up in a home that had Dr. King's portrait in a place of honor. I've read his letter from a Birmingham jail, which my father would teach annually in his classrooms. I've listened to his sermons at the March on Washington, and I've been to the mountaintop. I have a record pressing of a Dr. King speech to the UAW in my personal collection. I was reading Dr. King's posthumous book, Where Do We Go From Here? Chaos or Community, while I was walking the streets of Alabama. As much as I have studied and learned from Dr. King indirectly, it was in that parsonage that I was able to finally meet the man spiritually. Church, that parsonage was as close to holy ground as I have ever been. There, at that very table, upon receiving a phone call to threaten his and his family's life, Dr. King prayed and spoke to God and heard an answer. I was surprised to find that Dr. King's parsonage, this holy ground, felt like a walking memory through my own grandparents' home. So Roy and Martha Blackmore started their own ministry in Flora, Illinois in 1951, but their calling landed them in the family home that I knew starting in 1961 in Tulsa, Oklahoma. By the time I came on the scene, they were retired, but their ministry still continued. And the similarities hit me at first with a color, the blue, the robin's egg blue on the ceiling of the porch. That was the same blue that was my grandmother's entire kitchen. The bathroom decor, the light streaming through the panels, the bath mat and toilet seat cover in this pink shag carpeting. In the corner of the parlor, there was a upright piano where the classically trained Miss Coretta Scott King played. And the ceramic ornament that was on top of the piano was almost a carbon copy of this Blackmore family trinket with a familiar Bible verse written upon it. And I turned to one of our pilgrimage leaders, Laura, in the kitchen, and I shared that I was so touched to be visited by the memory of my own grandparents in Dr. King's parsonage, of all places. I was not expecting to see them so vividly there. And it was a tender blessing to be reminded of their spirits too. It confirmed for me the recency of the movement to our own point in time, a message that echoed from other firsthand accounts that we heard that week, as you have heard. The tremendous sacrifice of the Reverend Doctor's life was a national tragedy, but it was also a deeply personal one to those who knew and loved him. Dr. King's grandchildren were robbed of the blessing of a deep and personal connection with their grandfather, a blessing that I knew in my relationship with mine. My grandfather would push me on the swing that he installed in his own backyard for his grandchildren, and he would sing hopeful hymns to us as he did so. I'm going higher, yes, higher someday. My grandfather had the sweetest tooth, and he always had ice cream in the freezer. He had his very own birthday song that he would sing to us. It's your birthday, happy birthday to you. God's above you, and we love you, happy birthday to you. Roy Blackmore passed on to his heavenly home 6 years ago this month, after a lifelong ministry and building deep family ties. And the ripples of Roy and Martin's legacies live on in their grandchildren and in everyone touched by their ministry.
Heard these stories, deep and personal reflections. That's what this pilgrimage was designed to do and to be built on relationship building. It's why it's called a pilgrimage rather than a tour. As we moved through the various sites, we were each confronted with our own histories and that of our ancestors. Hearing or reading the history of slavery, segregation, and the fight for civil rights is one thing, but walking in the footsteps of the warriors for justice, hearing their words about being beaten and jailed while practicing nonviolence, seeing the sculptures by Ghanaian artist Kwame Akoto Bamfo depicting the agony of enslavement, these experiences were felt viscerally and emotionally. Each day of the pilgrimage ended with deep conversation in small groups, and together we processed grief and guilt and shame and fear about the current and future state of the world. We also found inspiration and renewed commitment to carry on the struggle for liberation, knowing it has taken way too long, that far too many lives have been lost, and that there is so much further to go. Even as we fear we may have lost any ground gained since the civil rights movement, I was reminded that the only way abuse of power has ever conceded anything is through the organized, persistent, and steady resistance of courageous people, lovingly and collectively confronting evil over the long haul. In the face of such grotesque evil as we are bearing witness to in our neighborhoods, in our cities today, people being rounded up and disappeared, beaten and murdered, held in captivity for no reason other than the color of their skin, we must recognize that we are not here for the first time, and that the poison of racism, hatred, and dehumanization in all forms is at the root of the evil of this country's original and perpetuating sin. It will never be eradicated if we can't own our past or commit our hearts to confronting it with sustained and steadfast love. I want to thank you all for listening to us today. We were all deeply moved by this experience, and we're happy to talk about it more. If you're interested, remember the Real Team panel on the 12th, or ask any one of us to share our experiences of the trip. In addition to those you heard today, Susan Comstock, Bruce Emory, Meredith Hayden, Martha Holman, Cheryl Mounts, Mary Beth Roth, and Carla Williams also attended the trip. And you can check out the Living Legacy, oh, that's really hard to read, isn't it? Living Legacy Pilgrimage website and Facebook page. We do plan to do this pilgrimage again, so I hope that you'll consider joining, and we want to bring our youth as well. In the meantime, may we collectively carry on the struggle for justice and the commitment to dismantling every system that stands against the transforming power of love. Amen and blessed be. Gretchen, I'm going to go ahead and read the chalice extinguishing for you. As we extinguish the chalice, but please come forward. Please join in saying the words on the screen by the Reverend Elizabeth Sell Jones. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Please rise in body or spirit and join in singing our closing hymn, number 151, I Wish I Knew How It Would Feel to Be Free. Benediction is by Brian Stevenson, who was the creator of the Legacy Museum. You should not underestimate the power you have to affirm the humanity and dignity of the people around you. When you do that, they will teach you something about what you need to learn about human dignity, but also what you can do to be a change agent. So let us all look at each other, see our dignity, see the dignity of everyone we engage with, and be change agents. Our service is at an end. For our attendees online, please blessings and go in peace. For those attending in person, please allow Reverend Susan to go through the instructions for our evacuation drill.